Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Trade Recaps with Hamid Trades. In today's video, we're going to take a look at why I took all of these different trades that we took. Pretty good day so far. We went 3 for 5, I think. And basically a lot of the one of the losses that we took was basically break even. So I'm going to go ahead and explain everything in detail. I'm going to give you guys the reasoning of why I was bearish heading into today. And I'm going to give you guys context of everything. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with the video. All right, so when we're looking at a direction to trade early on in the morning, right, we have to look at where the overall momentum on a daily time frame, on the larger time frames, is going to be. All right, so looking at the SPY, we could see that we gapped up 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So we gapped up 4 times in a row. So that is one little reason why I was hesitant to be bullish, and I would rather be a bit bearish. But the main reason that I also shared on my Twitter and in the Discord servers this morning is that the dollar is very overextended to the downside. Okay, you could see that it's opened outside of the lower level of the Bollinger Band. So the reason why this is important is because, first of all, when we're outside of the lower level of the Bollinger Band on any indice, on any large tech stock, generally we get a reversal back up. Okay, and the dollar is important to look at because when the dollar, because it has an inverse relationship to the market. If the dollar is showing strength, then the market should be falling, okay? And that is what I currently think the dollar should be doing, okay? I personally don't think I personally think the dollar should be bouncing. All right, we're outside of the lower level of the Bollinger Bands. We should get a bit of a bounce. And if that happens, that is bearish for the market. So that is another reason why I am bearish for today. And that was my main direction that I was trading everything today. All right, so now that's my thought process for everything, right? Not to mention Microsoft. Not to mention Microsoft is out and about, skyrocketing up here. It's exploding to the upside. It looks it needs to have a bit of a pullback. So those 3 main reasons are definitely some reasons why I was bearish heading into today. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the different trades that we took a bit more in detail. Okay, so keeping in mind now, right, those were my reasonings to be bearish. Okay, so this is the 1 minute chart of the SPY, and you know that I only look at the 1 minute time frame usually when I trade, right? And this was the first trade that we took. So I already explained that I was bearish, and this is the first trade that I took. I wanted to so basically we entered on this candle. We entered on this candle at 9:35 a.m. and I wanted to have a stop loss right above this high. So what we're creating off of this big green so first of all, when the momentum should be bearish and we start off the day with a huge monstrous green candle, that's not going to sustain itself, because if the overall larger time frames is also bearish, these are going to be good shorting opportunities. These are bull traps. Okay, so that's why I was leaning bearish here, and what ended up happening was we went short. We broke a bit above the stop loss. That didn't really concern me too much. I was still bearish. We didn't sell, and this was a really good trade. We ended up falling lower, and these contracts ended up hitting 25%. So this was a really, really good trade. I'm happy about that, and we started off the day really, really well. Okay, so that was the first trade. Let's just mark that right here. That was the first trade right here. Okay, terrible drawing. Look at that drawing. Okay, anyway, cool. So the next trade, we were watching. Well, we didn't really take this, but I was trying to be greedy because I already knew that the overall momentum was going to be bearish here, right? So I wanted it to go a little bit higher, but at this moment, right, I wanted to go short at this moment, but I wanted to be greedy and I wanted to go a little bit higher before going short. What ended up happening was we just had a monstrous move to the downside. Okay, so after a monstrous move to the downside, it's tough to go short again. So that's why we were just waiting for a better setup. Okay, so we ended up waiting and waiting for basically just a better setup to be taken, right? And so basically you know, a lot of choppiness ended up happening in the market, and just not really any good opportunities. We were wicking up and down. If you guys were trading this morning, you guys could clearly see that we were not, it was not like a good trading environment after the first initial move. Okay, so fast forward to around 10:30, we ended up going short here because it was just a much better opportunity. This setup right here is garbage. When you have a big move to the upside and then a monstrous red candle like this, sorry, let me just erase this real quick. So when you have a big green candle like this and then a red candle afterward, it's very, very bearish. And what always ends up happening, this is one of my favorite setups. This is an ugly setup. It looks, I don't even know how to describe this, but it's really, really disgusting. So what ends up happening is you have to go short with a stop loss here. And then if we end up making another high, you can go really, really aggressive to the short side. And that, you know, I didn't go super aggressive, but here's what we ended up doing. Okay, so this setup I already knew would be bearish. I wanted to be very, very greedy and wait for as close to this high as possible before going short. We ended up going short at 10:35 or 10:36 right here. And I initially wanted to have a stop loss right at this high for 10:32. Okay, so we ended up holding, and then the contracts, like obviously we entered puts. I knew this was weak, but they ended up pumping it. They pumped it, they pumped it, they pumped it. We're still holding it. We didn't sell anything. We're still holding it. And then I entered again on this candle right here because I still knew for a fact this was going to drop based off of this setup. So it was all based off of this setup. So number one, it was based off of this setup. Number two, it was based off the daily setup that I just showed you with Microsoft, the dollar, and the larger time frames. Okay, and then number three, it's based off of the weakness that we already saw so far. So there were more than three solid reasons to still fade the pops upward. So we ended up shorting again. This ended up going 40% and 45%, and the original contract that we bought, I sold those. So by the time, all right, so at this point we were in a trade over here and then another trade over here. When we entered this, by the time we got up here, these contracts were down almost 25%, 25%, something like that. And we ended up entering a new position. This ended up going 44%. And then what I ended up doing was I sold this original position for a loss down here after we made a lot of profit based off of the average in. And yeah, so that's basically what ended up happening. I was comfortable selling for a small loss because we ended up making our money back off of this setup. And it ended up working out perfectly because, like I was saying, this is a really, really ugly setup. If we break another high, that is a really, really good opportunity to go short. And that's exactly what happened. And in hindsight, you know, I sold the original short at an amazing time because that marked a short-term bottom. And we ended up climbing back all the way up. So this was a pretty decent set of trades that we took, and you know, really solid trading. And another trade I just alerted on Wave earlier was basically on the dot. Actually, I saw that there was a weakness here. 435.70 was acting as a level of resistance, and there was a lot of, so number one, tons of resistance all throughout here. Okay, that's a terrible line, but just imagine this is parallel, right? Boom. So tons of resistance. The NASDAQ was also at levels of resistance. The IWM was also showing some weakness. And for multiple candles here, we could not break above these wicks. Okay, so lots of reasons to be short. So basically we ended up going short over here, and you know, right, literally minutes afterward, these contracts ended up being 25% as well. So overall, a really solid day, and this could just continue falling lower, to be honest, but overall really solid day. I'm very happy with the way that the trades ended up going today. Just, you know, had to dust off some rust. Haven't streamed in a month, so it went really well. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, you know, I hope this makes sense, and I hope you guys are learning my reasoning and stuff. And yeah, please let me know your thoughts. Please comment below your thoughts, anything else of that nature. And yeah, man, love you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. I'm gonna see you guys after hours for the market recap. All right, take care, have a good one.